when you're like an influencer, right? You're just putting out the best part of your life, basically.
Yeah.
But they're not seeing you're seeing the tip of the iceberg, but they don't realize there's a mountain underneath the water.
That's true.
And all the stuff that you had to go through, and all the struggles, and all the shit.
Yes.
And all the late nights, early mornings, whatever. Most people don't do a good job of showing that.
I tell people Instagram is kind of like a highlight reel. You
Right.
know, it's all of the wins. Every you're on top 10 of Sports Center every time you're posting something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what about man, I struggle with this. Like I posted something the other day. When I bought my first house, I had a 580 credit score and about $75,000 in student loans. And all of my clients know that, like that buy real estate, because I tell them like, this is where I started, but this is where I'm at right now. You don't have to start where I'm at. That's not even a real thing.
It's not a real thing.
Welcome to the Everyday Millionaire Show with Ryan Greenberg and Nick Kalfas.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Millionaire Show. We are here with Keith James, our second reoccurring guest.
Yeah, glad to be here, man.
Awesome, man. It's always a good time here in BPCon, partying. And I mean, we met last year.
Yeah.
And it's always a great time, man. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you for having me, man. I love what you guys are doing. It's an honor to be on the show and tell my story.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it, man.
What's life been like, man? Keith James blowing up, selling a bunch of real estate. Tell me about it. What's going on?
Man, it's been fun, man. It's been fun. We've been growing. We just launched Coalition Philly. Actually, we're launching it as we speak right now. I'm going through the process. Our main hub is in Washington, D.C. We launched Richmond at the end of last year, which is super cool. So we're growing a team. We're growing on the investment side. We closed on 100 units earlier this year in Douglasville, Georgia, which was cool to be able to, do that for friends and family. Growing agent count as well. So just trying to, also we've been speaking a lot, which is super cool to go out and tell our stories and talk about the model, talk about investing, talk about wealth building. Our mission, be the bridge to our community for all things real estate, lifestyle, and wealth building. And so we're really, really living out each one of those pillars right now.
What are some of the steps you have to take to open up another team in a different area?
Yeah. First of all, you got to have a brand that the market center believes in. I think that's first and foremost. When we started Coalition, one of our goals were to create an opportunity platform for other agents, other teams to be able to come in and be successful, right? We believe that every agent, is the mayor of their community, right? We're not the, three-headed monster up top and come in and, you come under us and no, you're not under us. We partner with you. We want to be the platform. We want to be the soil that you come and stand on and grow. And so the brand, that's super important, and a proven concept of winning. I think too, a lot of the stuff that we tell a lot of stuff that we say when we're recruiting is, come be a part of the mission. Don't come because you see a bunch of somebody selling 100 homes a year. Don't come for me. Like really believe in our mission, and that's something else we talk to market centers about as well.
So can you break down, for those listening who maybe haven't seen your previous episode with us, could you break down just briefly what you do and what Coalition is?
Yeah. So Coalition, we are a real estate sales team. Since 2019, we've sold over 1,500 homes, over $650 million in real estate volume. And most importantly, we facilitated over $1 million to charity. So we help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. And we also facilitate money to charity as well. And we also teach about investing and wealth building. We host seminars. We host a lot of wealth building seminars. And my role per se, I have two business partners with Coalition. My role per se is just selling real estate. They try to make life as easy as possible for me so I can sell a bunch of real estate and drive revenue, and also meet with vendors and partner with vendors so we can be successful as well.
So I want to quickly go back to what you were talking about with branding.
Yeah.
I have like an interesting kind of just theory or question to work through. And I've had this issue where, like in my business, contracting, right? People don't know my business's name. They just know Ryan Greenberg is a contractor.
Yeah.
So what, like for you, like you're Keith James, you have Keith James brand.
Yeah.
How do you separate that or combine that with Coalition so people start recognizing Coalition and not Keith James?
Man.
So maybe one day Keith James doesn't have to work as Coalition's leader.
Yes, man. It's funny, Ryan. Like I talk a lot right now. Like that's the topic of conversation in our leadership meetings, right? Because a lot of people, when they come, and clients per se, they want to work with me. They want to work with me, and I love my clients. Like I love the game. Like I love selling real estate. I love helping people get to the closing table and things of that nature. I think it's more so of a I do, we do, you do. Bringing people with me when I'm doing that buyer consultation, bringing people along with me and my showing specialists when they're showing properties, and just showing from a branding standpoint on social media. Because as you know, like for myself, I get a lot of business from social media. So just continuing to promote our agents and continuing to promote the work that they're doing as well. It's because, it's kind of like, one band, one sound. At one point, it's going to be a time where they're not going to be able to call and talk to Ryan, right?
Right.
So if you kind of step out on faith now, and it's really stepping out on faith. Like, hey, you're going to take this call instead of me, right? You're going to work with this person instead of me because they can best fit you for what you're trying to accomplish, right? And you got to set the expectations too in the consultation when you're meeting with them.
Yeah, I think, it's one of the things that I see and makes me think about this over and over again is like, for example, somebody that like you got 20,000 plus followers on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
How many followers does your business page have?
Oh man, 9,000.
Okay, so it's half, right? So I see a lot of people that have a lot of followers. You see some people that got 100,000, a million followers, but their business has 5,000 followers.
Yep.
And that's a big problem because they're only branded personally and not their business. So when people call, they're expecting you.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make it so they expect the company.
Exactly. And I think over the last couple of years, we've done a great job of telling the story of the company, right? You got to tell your story of the company. And when you're telling that story, you got to include other people. Like, for example, my right-hand guy is Angelo Industrious. He's my showing specialist. He's my lead showing specialist. Everybody knows him because when you see us on social media, you see us together all the time at the closing table, right? It's to the point now where people, when we meet in the consultation, they already know, like, because of the referral and because we have a referral-based business as well. I'm sure it's your business as well. They know that he's going to be the person that's showing properties. And what I say in that consultation is that he showed properties better than me. And I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. He's shown over 6,000 homes in 2 years. He shows properties better than me. And what he's going to do, he's going to do a mini inspection for you every time you walk into a property. He has abilities and capabilities that I don't have. And that's the beauty of a team. Because in the market right now and selling and buying homes, you have to have such an amazing skill set to sell real estate right now. Can't anyone just be an agent right now, right? And if I'm showing properties, I have no time to go negotiate the contract. I have a proven concept. The most important thing is you getting to that table, holding the key on my Instagram page.
Yeah.
How we do that, I have the concept to do that. And if you want to accomplish it at a high level, you need to come work and be a part of my concept that has been proven.
Yeah. That's huge, man, because you don't want to get stuck doing that thing. And I think a part of it too is training your clients a little bit too.
Absolutely.
Like on my property management side, like I'm not good at looking for documents on our Appfolio. So they text me and they say, hey, can you send me the lease? I'm like, well, have you called the office?
Right.
Have you called Jocelyn? Have you called Cody? And I'm like, I'm not really capable of, I could, but I don't, it's not going to be fast for me to find this thing.
Yeah.
You could call my office and then like, all right, I'll call the office, right?
Yeah.
And you just got to keep telling them that. So then the next time that they need something, they don't call me, they call the company.
Yeah. One thing I would say about that too. So in a listing presentation and a buyer consultation, when I first meet with a client, we have a packet on who does what and who does what. And we have the headshot and we have the title. Me, I'm the managing partner. I'm going to negotiate your contract. We're going to talk strategy, right? All communication goes through me. I have a transaction coordinator. Anything paperwork-wise, anything calendar-wise, anything appointment-wise, whether you have to go to the property, you go talk to that person, right? That's Tracy Allen, best in the country too, by the way. Angelo, if you want to see the property, if you want to get out to see the property, if you want to C Properties, that's Angelo, and we're all in a group chat together, right? So you talk about training the client, like you have to set that expectation in the first meeting. You're not the person to call for paperwork. Like that's not what I do. So we're on the same page with that. And also too, you have to find people too that you like. We believe in our people. Like agents on our team, like we truly believe in them, and we tell them when they're coming on board, like this isn't easy. Like the work that we've had to put in to build this brand, like it was just me, Harrison, and Ryan, and 2 agents when we started, right? So we've built this brand over time, and if you're gonna come be a part of it, the client comes first. The client comes first, and you have to be able to take yourself out of your shoes and put yourself in your client's shoes, because they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
I think it goes for any business. Like delegation is probably one of the most important things. There's only so much one person can do.
Facts.
And as I'm growing my rental portfolio, and I used to, the way I would market these rental properties for rent and deal with all of the inquiries, like I'm putting all that to my assistant just to give my time back to focus on the more important things in the business to keep it growing.
Yeah. The one thing I see with as business owners, that hurts that process of like, why, like, don't call me for this, is that sometimes they're afraid to let go of certain things, right? Because who's gonna do it better than you?
That's the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But like, once you're gonna
You gotta
start
get out of your own way. That's it. You gotta get out of your own way. You gotta know what you're good at. You gotta know what you're not good at, and then put yourself in the position to be able to hire that person to do that job.
And that's hard, man. That's a skill set in itself. Like getting out of your own way.
So for you with hiring agents now, right? Like 3 of us, this is the hardest time in real estate that we've had in our careers. High rates, low inventory. What are you doing to hire agents? You're recruiting agents. What are some of the things that you're looking at that's like, this is one agent that I need to have, or this agent, I don't think he's going to fit our mold?
100%. You have to be hungry, humble, and coachable. Like those 3 things. And
how do you how do you meet somebody and talk to them and know that that's going to be their profile?
You got to ask the right questions. So when we are bringing on agents, it's not one meeting and, oh, we like you, come on. It's a process, right? We're quick to hire, we're slow to hire, quick to fire, right? Like that's the process. And so we're probably having about 3 to 5 meetings before that agent actually comes on board. And also too, we have a 30, 60, 90-day process to where we're not even announcing them until 90 days have passed. Like, hey, congrats on joining the team, right? So it's kind of like dating, right? you have to date them first, right? You have to know before you put the ring on them, like, okay, is this going to be a right fit for you? And asking those questions, vetting, what's important to you? What do you see yourself in 3 years? What do you need help with right now? Show me your business plan. Show me your tax returns. How much money do you want to make? What do you want to do on the, do you have any aspirations of doing any nonprofit work or giving back? Like, we're asking everything, man. Like, be vulnerable. Like, we're going to tell you about our struggles. This is what we're struggling with right now as a company. And as soon as you break that barrier down and be as transparent as possible, that's when you can get to, okay, we think this may work for you. We have this model, or we don't think we're the right fit for you. But you don't know that until you ask the right questions and be vulnerable in these conversations, because a lot of times people are so quick to join and merge. And this is the same process myself, Harrison, and Ryan did when we started Coalition. It was like an 8-month process of us coming together and really launching the company. Right. So you got to be transparent.
So yeah, with all that, like, people are right now, like, agents are falling off the map. They got to be, right?
Big time.
When you're recruiting agents, do you want them to come from another brokerage so they have some experience, or do you want them fresh so you can coach them the way you want to do it? And then, like, what kind of infrastructure do you need when you hire these people? Look, the girl that we had on before, Brittany, she wants to hire 500 agents this year. Well, what kind of infrastructure do you need to do that, right? It's crazy. So what are you thinking about, like, when you see this agent, they just came from Long and Foster or whatever, or you got a new guy that's real hungry, but he's never sold a house or never been attached to a brokerage?
100%. So you gotta be flexible with both of those types of agents, right? And you have to be very transparent with the new agent and and really help them understand like right now what's really going on in the business, because a lot of times, you know, they see social media and sometimes they can get blind spots by social media. It's not what you really see on social media. So bringing them in the fold and shadowing. So we have a process. It's kind of like a buyer certification process. I don't care if you've sold 5 homes. I don't care if you sold 15, 20 homes. You kind of have to, this is the coalition way. And basically you have to shadow a certain amount of buyer consultations, right? You have to do a certain number of showings with our shadow a certain number of showings with our showing specialists, right? You also have to shadow a certain number of inspections, and you have to do a number of like house previews before you can really take on it, before we give you a lead. Like if you go to corporate, and I have a corporate background, we had, I used to work for 3M. And when you go to corporate, they're not just going to give you a $10 million territory. They're not going to do that. You have to go through a training process for a year. Like they make you go through it for a year. You know, we give you a 90-day time frame. We give you some grace in that, right? And until you do all of those things, that's how we can for surely trust you with, hey, here's a client, take them and run with them.
Yeah.
How many agents do you interview who you don't bring onto the team?
That's a good question. Man. So
I guess like a percentage wise, like
yeah. And just to be like, I'm not fully, I bring on agents, but I'm not fully a part of the onboarding process as our director of operations and my business partner, Ryan. But I would say on average, maybe it's like 50-50, to be honest with you. Like we have conversations with agents, and, you know, some agents are not about the grind, you know, and it's just, you can easily see that, okay, yeah, I just want leads. If you just want leads, now we have leads. We have over 20, like 40,000 people in the database, you know, that needs to be called. We got them, but if that's the first thing you're saying, you just want leads, probably not the right fit.
And how do you feel about agents that are working another job, right? And they're just getting into it? Because I know we interviewed James Weiskirker. He's like the W Group. They only hire, you know, they have a very specific thing they're hiring. Like, what's that for you?
You know, we used to be the team that wouldn't hire dual career agents, but sometimes we forget. Like, I was a dual career agent when I started. Right, I'm actually doing a dual career class. I'm starting to teach a dual career class right now. If you're hungry, humble, and coachable, and understand, because we have a lot of government employees that are agents in DC, and they work from home, they work remote. If you are about the grind and you're willing to put in the work that it takes, remember 30, 60, 90, you got to be vetted. We can see that in 90 days, then we'll hire a dual career agent. Yep. Yeah. Now we understand too, we let them know, because there's, you know, splits involved, and we let them know, like, there's, like, we have a high demand of clients. Like, we have a big referral base, Sphere referrals. When you're a dual career agent, you have to have the capacity to manage clients. And so you're not going to be able to get as many clients. And real estate is an unfair business. You're not going to get as many clients as the guy that's over here selling 50 homes a year, if you're selling 15 or 20. And it's okay to sell 15 or 20. But just know, like,
considering most agents are selling one.
Exactly.
Or none.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
You know? But it goes back to, I like selling real estate. This is my passion. I'll sell my personal business. I'll sell 105 homes this year, right? But that is not everyone, and it took me time to build up to that, so to speak.
So as you're hiring agents, you know, talking about the infrastructure of your business, like, to safely scale and get more agents, what does the other hires look like?
Yeah, you need a recruiter. You need a director of operations, right? And sometimes, you know, when it comes to, you also need systems too, like automated systems. Like, we use a system called JotForm, where people can fill out a form and it go into our database, an agent, and they go into our database, and we can see, like, what they've done, right? And we reach out to them, set up a meeting. So those automated systems are very important as well. And your director of operations has to be on it. Like, our director of operations, she's on it. Like, she's, you know, crossing the T and dotting the I and making sure that, you know, these appointments are being set. We use something called a KPA, which is it's a Keller
Key
Williams.
performance.
Yeah. It sounds like Tony
Indicator.
Robbins, but it's a Keller Williams base, where it teaches you and helps you learn what type of a person you are when it comes to real estate sales, and where you are like on the disc profile, so to speak.
So what's something that's Coalition is doing that's separating you from the other teams that are selling a lot less? And what do they have to do? Like, just right now, we got a competitive environment. It's real tough. Like, what's one thing Keith's like, we got to do this now because this is what's separate us?
More education. I think we're an education-based team. Like, we lead with education. And, I still go to some of the new hire agent training classes that they have because I want to know, like, what's going on, what's new. Am I missing something? So we really spend a lot of money in training our agents and educating our agents and coaching our agents. And I think too, a lot of people don't spend money on that. They rather go spend money on leads and Zillow and things of that nature and not really invest in like the training that their team actually needs to be successful, especially in a market like this, because this is not an easy market to sell real estate in. And so I think for us, we've, stayed true to who we were and continue to educate. Like, I'm at Bigger Pockets right now learning, right? We go to, Built How. We go to Metrics Mastermind with Ben Kinney out west in Arizona and Brian Gubernick. Like, we're investing in education and being able to bring that stuff back to our team is super important.
How important is it to educate your clients on real estate investing?
It's super important.
Well, Keith, you're like famous for you sell them a residential home and then the next call is them investing in real estate. That's
absolutely.
Can you like break down that process that you do with your clients?
Absolutely. Yeah. So going back to education, kind of understanding like, okay, what can real estate do for you? Like, you want to buy this home, right? And I always tell people the best investment you can make is buying your first house, right? And what type of leverage that creates for you. So when I'm talking with clients, what I like to do is ask them, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And that kind of gets the question open to, okay, are they even open to buying more real estate? But what happens a lot, even the people that don't even think they're going to buy multiple homes in 5 years, once they buy their first house and we get that great deal for them and they look up in 6 months to 8 months and the house next door sold, $40,000 higher than what they bought their house for.
Mm-hmm.
And they call me like, hey, Keith, like, is this real? Like, properties are appreciating like this? Like, is this what's going on? Like, absolutely. And also too, when we do that deal and they find out, oh, okay, I didn't have to bring as much cash to the table, so I maybe can repeat this model again. Now, I'm famous for, like, my thing is buying your first property with a separate interest basement, right? Or buying multifamily properties. Like, that is something that I really like taught my clients. And a lot of them rent out basements, and so they repeat that model to where I got clients who have like 5 homes now in 2 years, 7 doors in 3 years, and they're cash flowing and they're making money. And I also like to tell them that 90% of the millionaires, 90% of your billionaires right now got their wealth from real estate. 90% of the wealthiest Americans got their wealth from real estate right now. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, that's super important. I mean, investing in real estate and having that passive income for the future is definitely something that people need to realize. And like you said, they maybe don't cross that realization until they do buy that first primary house and realize like, oh, this house just sold for this much more than my property. Let me buy another one and just keep that first one as a rental property.
And, I think a lot of people also too you hear all this stuff. A lot of real estate gurus saying you can do this, you can do that, but what's really real? Something I like to do is I like to host home buying seminars in my investment properties. So I have them come out to look at what I paid for the property. I show them my closing documents. I show them my appraisal, and I also show them the work that I'm going to put into the house. And I do that before I renovate the property, and I bring them back in after. It's like a mastermind class, and they can now see, okay, you can go to your 401k and get $15,000, $20,000 to pull out and not get a 15% penalty. Because if you pull from your 401k for anything else other than real estate, you'll get a 15% penalty. They're kind of telling you, they want you to buy real estate. Like you're getting matched up to 6% with your 401k. That's leverage for you. That's cash that you didn't know you even had. And a lot of clients come to me, they don't know that. They're like, wow, I don't even have to touch my savings.
Well, they also think that I think they have to pull that money out instead of the idea of borrowing against it.
Exactly.
I think that's a big thing that people don't really understand, and why having assets like real estate is so important, because that's something that you can use as leverage to get the next thing. And there's no other things in the world that the bank is trying to give you, all that money for free. The game, man, you got to know all the rules.
You got to know all the rules.
You got to know all the rules. If you don't know the rules, then you're at a disadvantage. And I feel like a lot of people, just regular people, that they just don't know the rules of the game.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I give my clients books to read. Like the book that changed my life, as everyone knows, I talk about it a lot, is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
When I read that book,
You and every other
exactly. A month after reading that book, I went and bought my first house, like for my first duplex, and I started buying in the neighborhood I grew up in, because people like me wasn't buying real estate, and I wanted to show them that we didn't always have to be tenants; we can also be landlords, and that was super important to me. And I think a lot of times, like you said, like people don't know what they don't know, but it's so many rules out here that it's not. We don't talk about that enough. Like, where is this information at?
And there's so many different strategies.
Yeah.
Even people that think about, I want to get started in real estate, they may just not even get started because there's so many different things that you can do. And pertaining to maybe wholesaling or flipping or buy and hold or just wholesale or any other real estate strategy, it's like, just think about what you want to do, create a plan, and then just do it. Just focus on one thing. If you don't like that, then just try to do something else in real estate.
I get that all the time. People call me and they say, I want to get into real estate. All right. But
what part?
What part?
You want to be a lender? You want to be a landlord? There's
Yeah, well, I was watching Instagram. Okay, let me tell you what all you can do in real estate. Like, go be an apprentice for somebody. Like, you really have to get the experience. Like, creating like a rotational program. That's what corporate America does. They have a rotational program that you can go work over here for 30 days. You can work over here for 30 days and find out what you like. Don't be so quick to just, jump out there.
Yeah. I also think I was talking about this before, and I accidentally, one of the project managers that I hired recently started as my driver. Like I hired this guy who's a friend of mine who drove me around.
Wow.
The reason I did that, so I can work on my hotspot. I had my laptop. We'll talk about this laptop situation later.
What is a laptop?
But I would work on my laptop, and I would go to check on projects. I would go to show a property.
Right.
And he would be there with me every single day, seeing me do it, seeing me do this, meeting the person, knowing who the vendors are. And one day, I needed a project manager. I'm like, this guy knows everything that I've been doing.
Right.
He just turned into a project manager.
Right.
No training needed, no nothing. He's been watching me for the last 6-8 months.
Absolutely.
And that's like, somebody can go and offer. Actually, we had an intern that called me. I taught a little seminar, financial literacy seminar for high school athletes. So I went there, talked to this group of kids. One kid came up to me after, and he's like, I really want to know more. I want to learn, So he called me the day he graduated. He texted me and he's like, hey, I want to work for you this summer.
Wow.
You don't have to pay me.
Wow.
He's like, I want to work for you. I want to learn everything that you know. I'm like, okay. So we brought him into the office. We ended up paying him. I can't, not pay the kid.
I know.
But he's going to college and stuff. We hooked him up, bought him a MacBook. And, so he took it upon himself to come and offer to do whatever we told him to do. He would stuff envelopes. He would write, audit our leases. He would do whatever. And now this kid is 18 in college, knows almost, more than most real estate estate investors. And winter break, he's coming back. He's going to work for us during winter break. Summer break next year, he's going to work for us. He already has a login to Appfolio. He knows how to audit the water bills. Like, there are so many things that he knows that he's at an advantage because all he did was call and ask, can I come hang out with you for free?
Well, it sounds like he's hungry, humble, and coachable, which is what we look for in people these days.
Yeah.
So that's kind of huge. And a lot of people are not willing to kind of put in that work. A lot of people want what you have, but they're not willing to put in the work that you put in.
That's big.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yes.
95% of the population. They just think it just happens. They see it online on social media and they're like, I'm going to get into that. And they don't see the behind the scenes stuff.
They don't, man. I mean, Like,
Well, I don't think a lot of people do a good job of putting that out there too. When you're like an influencer, right? You're just putting
Right.
out the best
yeah,
part of your life, basically.
yeah.
But they're not seeing you're seeing the tip of the iceberg, but they don't realize there's a
That's
mountain
true.
underneath the water.
That's true.
And all the stuff that you had to go through, and all the struggles, and all the shit.
Yes.
And all the
Yes.
late nights, early mornings, whatever. Most people don't do a good job of showing that.
That's so true. I tell people Instagram is kind of like a highlight reel.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know, it's all of the wins. Every you're on top 10 of Sports Center every time you're posting something, right?
Mhm.
But what about
Yeah.
man, I struggle with this. Like I posted something the other day. When I bought my first house, I had a 580 credit score and about $75,000 in student loans. And all of my clients know that, like that buy real estate, because I tell them like, this is where I started, but this is where I'm at right now, And the same can go for anyone. I put that out there first because I want them to know that you don't have to start where I'm at. It's not even like that's
You
not
can't.
even a real thing.
It's not a real thing.
It's not a real thing, right? And even with agents, like, well, how did you sell 20 million your first year in real estate? Well, I studied so hard. Like I took an 8-day real estate class to get my license. I shadowed my business partner, Harrison Beecher, and Ryan Butler. I was their showing specialist when I started out. I did a buku of rentals before I did my first deal, because rentals, I was learning how to talk with clients. I was learning like handling objections and things like that. And not many people are willing to go in and do rentals first.
And I also think it's kind of sad to say, but like in business, not everybody's created equal.
Not
like
everybody's created
you
equal.
don't have the sales skills that somebody else has. You're not gonna be as good. Like you have to know your role. If you're not good at talking to people and selling people on these ideas and these dreams, then maybe you should go into something on the back end, or something that you don't need to be the face. And you got to realize that. Like we said, get out of your own way.
Yeah.
And you might not be Keith James, even if you did work
Absolutely.
as hard as you did. You might not make 20. Might not sell 20 million first year because
Absolutely.
it's just not the same. You're not the same.
But yeah, you can't have a team full of LeBron James. Like LeBron needs role players, right? LeBron needs a shooter. LeBron needs sometimes somebody that can handle the ball. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like LeBron needs somebody that he can throw it into the post that's going to give you 10 and 10 every night, right? Somebody has to rebound the ball. And when you're making up a team, you need all of that, right? You're gonna have your star player, that person that he's gonna know where his spot is, get to his spot where he can shoot. I was a basketball player, I'm a hooper, right? And if he's getting to it, if your star player is able to get to his spot and shoot the jumper that he knows how to shoot, he's gonna be successful. If that star player is not getting to that spot and not shooting, you're not driving revenue. If you don't have the systems on the back end to support your people, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
So you need those systems.
We recently had a guest on, Brad Dwin, who wrote a book,
Yeah.
How to Use ChatGPT in Real Estate Investing.
Wow.
Have you implemented anything with AI in your investing or in agent world? One thing that I've been doing for my rentals and for some of the sale listings that I've had, property descriptions.
Mm-hmm. That's big. That's
Yep.
That's what I
You
use
go
it
into
for.
ChatGPT, you
Yep.
say, I have a 2-bed, 3-bath townhome, blah, blah, blah. It has, new kitchen, granite countertops. And this thing eloquently writes you a beautiful property description.
Yep.
Then you could tell it, shorten it up a little bit, make it a little bit longer. Have you
Yep.
been doing anything like that?
Absolutely. We've actually started with property descriptions. That's what the first thing we started with. And then we started with captions and write-ups for our events. So we do a lot of events for our client base, our past clients. And so we started writing up descriptions. I recently just tested it for a job description as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like
I've done that too.
ChatGPT will write out the job description for a for a certain hire that you're looking for. I think it's interesting. I also use ChatGPT for some captions stuff. I kind of try to break it down and make it like sound like me.
Right.
But it's very interesting, man. And the time that it takes, that I think for me, I don't have a lot of time to be writing captions. I don't have a lot of time to kind of figure it out. So I've definitely been using ChatGPT for things like that.
It clears up some mental bandwidth. You don't have to think about the cute words to use in the
Facts.
description.
Yeah, man.
Now you could just type in the facts and it pops up with the write-up. It's great. And I'm excited to see what else, is coming down the pike with this technology, and what else can it do for us as agents, as investors, as business owners in general. And how can it, it's sad to say, but how can we get that to bridge some gaps without hiring extra people, or you know, it's going to take people's jobs eventually. There's going to be jobs created from it, but it's going to take people's jobs too. And as business owners, we have to be on the ball, because the company that comes up after us that does it better than us has less employees, less overhead, their costs go down, they can charge less. Now we're at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And I compare it to, like, there's a guy I go to the gym with, and he has a similar business. He does restoration, construction, you know, like fires, water, and stuff like that. And we always talk, and a great guy. We compare a lot of stuff, right? And I look at his business. He does similar revenue, I think a little bit less than me this year. Way more employee base, way more admin, because he's an older guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done the research or the education on how to implement this technology.
Right.
When I show him like my Dropbox, I'm like, my whole life is right here.
Right.
And it's on my laptop. It's on my iPad.
Yeah.
I don't need to have a person filing papers in my office.
Right.
And now you got to pay somebody 15, 20, 30 bucks an hour.
Yeah.
And if they're filing papers and the other company, your competition, is using Dropbox, well, there's not a comparison there. You're going to lose out, because you're paying money for something that's already existing, that's automated.
Big time. Big time. Yeah. Technology is so important in business right now. And if you're not getting acclimated with what systems and technology, the systems that are you using for technology to run your business efficiently, you're going to fall behind, especially right now in the land of, like, in the world of inflation. Like, everything is more expensive. You got to pay people more. The cost of goods are going up like crazy. And if you're not getting on that, and also too, what he should be doing, he should have someone following you around. Like, that's another thing. Like, if we see people that are doing certain things, we ask, hey, you know, let's set up a coffee. Let's set up a mastermind. We'll pay you to learn more about your systems.
But I think at the same time, there's certain companies, and like I said, he's a little bit older, who are like stuck in the old ways of doing things, to where they don't even think about that. And even if somebody presented it to them, they may look at it as something they don't want to do.
So, time to talk some shit right now.
Are we talking shit?
So Nick Kalfas has built an amazing over 90 unit portfolio.
Yeah.
This man doesn't own a laptop. He doesn't use a laptop. He thinks that having a laptop is unnecessary in business. So we have to convince him otherwise. This man is using his phone for everything that he does.
Yeah.
I just think,
talk to me. I want to hear more about that. I want to hear a lot about that. Yeah.
You know, you guys are so used to doing that, and I'm not used to doing that, to where it's like everything that I need to do, I can do right on my phone. My phone is a computer. You guys can't answer phones on your laptop. And also, you have to pull out your like, I can be driving down the road, responding to emails, typing up contracts, leases, whatever I have to do. And you guys can't do that if you have to pull your laptop out. You got to pull over the side of the road. You have to make sure you have internet. Whereas the phone automatically has the internet, has everything you need to do right on your handheld device.
But
yeah.
I compared it to, you got two guys. The goal is to dig a hole. The one guy you give a shovel, and the other guy you give a backhoe. who are you gonna bet on to dig a bigger hole faster?
Oh, man,
right? How many hours a day you use your laptop, Keith?
It's funny now that he's saying what he's saying. Probably an hour and a half on my laptop a day. An hour and a half.
Okay. Now, follow-up question.
Yeah.
I have
If
one
you
too.
had
I have
to
a follow-up
do-
question.
If you had to do all of that stuff that you're doing on your laptop on your cell phone, how long would it take you?
It'll take me probably 3 hours.
3 hours.
There it is. Mic drop.
Hold on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you elaborate on any of the tests that you do that may take a little bit longer, that you're doing on your computer, that you can still do on your phone?
Yeah. And I think, like, for example, we use Dotloop. You're kind of familiar with Dotloop, right?
I got the app right on my phone.
All right. The app is one thing, and it's not as user-friendly as on the laptop for Dotloop. So if I'm trying to reshare some stuff, it's kind of hard to do it or edit quickly before my admin. Like instead of telling my admin to do it, if it's like 8 o'clock at night.
But that's not the only issues that Dotloop has in general. Sometimes when you send a contract to 2 people and one person opens it, and then there's like a whole freaking thing that goes on. Right. However, there is an option to not use the app and just go right to your browser on your phone and pop up the whole web page that way too.
It is, and I've been doing that more. And I think a lot of it is just making sure it's done correctly on the laptop. Another thing is too, Bright MLS. Being able to look up Bright MLS app sucks. So being able to look up properties and say, hey, I'm going to send my client a list of properties right now that's under 450,000, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. The laptop, you can just, it takes me 3 minutes, 2 minutes to do that. And on my phone, it'll probably take me 15 or 20, when you have to scroll up. But I will say he has a point on the phone. I just think that being more like the efficiency of making sure it's done correctly the first time from the laptop, it's easier to do so.
Because you can see the whole document. I'm a huge
and
proponent.
Attachments too. Like I use Gmail. What are you using for?
I use
sending emails.
Yahoo.
Okay, you use Yahoo. Like
attachments are great.
Files, like
I have a harder time with my Gmail attaching larger files than I do with the Yahoo.
Really?
100%. Yep.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. What about your mail app? Is it?
It's just the Yahoo Mail app.
He's a green text guy.
You can literally.
You're an Android guy. Oh my God, green bubble guy.
So he's got an Android and no cell phone, no laptop.
He can't even know. Mute his mic.
You guys hear me?
That's what Apple does, man. We have to separate you now because you can't be in our group chat.
Wait, look. The conversation was whether or not a laptop is useful in all businesses.
Well, now it got worse because now Keith found out that you not only not have a laptop, but you got an Android.
Yeah, I guess my question is, and I wish I could. I was talking with my right hand Angelo about this. He was saying, Keith, man, when you go on vacation, like you really don't even have to use your laptop. And what I am finding though, I am using my laptop less and less and less. And I don't think it's because of
so you don't need it, but you have people in the other back end.
I think I have more leverage nowadays than, versus the phone. But you do have a point. And that's a podcast conversation too, by the way. We need to write that down.
Yeah.
Laptop versus phone.
Yeah.
Being more efficient. What about when you're, I guess, man, like you gotta send a long email. Like
on my phone. Everything. Every email I send is always on my phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about when you're running like analysis and stuff like that? Like I guess like performers and stuff like that.
For like analyzing a new deal?
Analyzing a deal.
I literally just analyze it like in my head or in a calculator.
I may need to have him come speak to the team, man, on efficiency on your phone by using an Apple, because on our team, you can't even be in the group chat if you have an Android.
No, you can't send pictures or videos. I gotta send videos to like Facebook or WhatsApp.
Yeah. I gotta DM you to get a video, man. Like,
no, I think I think Android has something now where I can send you guys an attachment and it'll open up as a clear video versus how it used to open up as like a blurry video.
It's not scratchy anymore.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it.
It goes through like Google Photos or Google Videos when I send it. Really? It's like a attachment now. So Android has come a little bit farther than they were.
Man, this is super funny, like interesting right now. Like I am trying to use my laptop less. I will say that. Because like me, I'm on the go all the time. I'm on the road. I'm on the phone, like different conversations. I talk to 30 people a day at least. And I'm trying to use my laptop as less as possible. And I think a lot of times we get handicapped too. We just so used to bringing that laptop out because it's comfort and it feels good versus using a phone. But I've been actually trying to use my laptop a lot less.
Yeah. So I think, Ryan, you are so used to using it that it's so hard to comprehend or wrap your head around going back to thinking the days where you never had a laptop, which probably was, I used to have a laptop like, in high school and a little bit of college, but I never had a laptop when I started my real estate business.
And for you, we're in slightly different businesses too. Like if I'm writing an estimate and I got to look at plans on one screen and then have my estimate software up on the other screen, if I'm tabbing back and forth on my phone, it's going to take me a year.
Yeah. No,
but instead, I got this screen pulled up here, I got this screen pulled up here, and I can just work through it.
Depending on your business.
I'm interesting. Like, Tell me, man, this is cool. What is the most efficient thing your phone can do that your laptop can't do for you?
Everything. I don't have a laptop, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, you don't even have a laptop.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have one.
Wow. Shit.
Everything that you guys can do on your laptop, I can do on my phone. And I do that. And I build my business that way.
Wow.
I have Excel sheets that I log everything. I have, Google Word documents.
Yeah.
Like I said, the emails. I can do everything.
kudos
Attachments,
to
dot
you,
loops,
man.
write contracts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what about like so I have to use Zoom to do consultations.
My phone. If I have to minimize it, I can still be in the corner and I can still go through my phone to go to anything I need to if I have to respond to anything.
What about sharing your screen though?
I never had to do that.
Oh, okay.
I don't
See,
typically host Zoom meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, his business is a little different. Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely easier for him to get away with not using
Right.
it. But for
'Cause you're not selling anymore, right?
Yeah, I still have
Okay.
my license, but
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So you're just building that portfolio of rooms.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That's actually pretty cool though, man. Kudos to you, man. Kudos. I like that.
it's cool, but it's a cool topic to talk about.
It
because
really is.
You get around a bunch of people and
Ryan's pissed that I don't have one though.
I can tell
Hey.
a little bit.
be nice, and maybe Christmas will come and you'll have a nice new laptop. But it's just it's interesting because we talked around a bunch of people and everybody looked like, what the hell? Like, how do you operate without a computer? Like,
Dude.
that's crazy.
That's literally, all right, wait a minute. So that's literally like somebody who's just once again investing, looking at you, looking at all of us, like, how the heck did they get to that point? And that's the same thing, right? It's like you started here. Whereas like I didn't start with, I don't have a laptop obviously, and that's just what I'm used to doing all the time. And you guys are so far advanced with opening your laptop every day for your day-to-day business that you just can't bring yourself back to that when you first started. Similar to like where we're at now, it's hard for us to think back where we first started.
Right.
Like it's hard to wrap myself around, my head around when I first bought, when I was thinking about buying my first property.
Yeah.
And like, all that stuff. I mean, obviously I still remember, but it's so, it's so far back there that it's like, when someone's first starting out, like, and they mention like they don't know what the term hard money is or something like that. It's like, well,
I often look back to my corporate days and I think to myself, how did I do all of this stuff for so little money?
I was a teacher, dude. So
oh my God.
I did it for way less than you.
Yeah, you did. Oh my God. Teachers, oh my God.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. I look back and I had a friend and he was telling me about that and a client. She's also in sales. I got a friend, he's in pharmaceutical sales, and I have another friend, she's in pharmaceutical sales, and they're like coaches as well. They sell, they have a quota to hit, and they're coaches. And get this now, they have to coach agents, or well, I call them agents, they're team members, right? To go in and sell these products to these doctors, right? So they have to go on sales calls with them. They probably spend about 20 hours a week doing this coaching, along with having to hit their sales goal. They only get a $5,000 stipend for coaching these their team members. That's it. It's a $5,000 stipend. I was like, in the real estate world, you would get equity. You would get 5% of every deal that they did. You should,
Right.
And they sell you on, well, you can potentially, if you do this, you're gonna move up in the corporate world. Move up for what? $10,000-$15,000. So I often look back on that and was like, because I coached and I was moving up the corporate ladder, and I think to myself, like, I did all that. And you have to really know your worth, right? Because I didn't know grass was greener on the other side. When I got presented with the opportunity to sell real estate, I was like, isn't that commission based? Like, I have a W-2 job. Why would I want to go do that?
Right.
And now I understand that grass is green on the other side.
Yeah.
And I'm just making sure I water that grass.
I think the big thing that's for me is like there's no ceiling.
Right.
Like in teaching, I could have been the best teacher in the world or the worst teacher in the world. And I would have made the same exact amount of money. And for me, like, I'm not going to discuss like numbers or anything, but there was a couple of months where I was teaching and I made more money that month than I did the entire year teaching.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why does anybody do this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love teaching. I love the kids.
Yeah.
I love coaching. Like, I love that job. But I'm like, this is so demotivating.
Yeah.
That I know for a fact I can be the best at this.
Right.
And this is how much I'm going to make. This is it forever.
Yeah.
Like they tell you the teacher scale. You could go online and see what every teacher's making.
Yeah.
It's a public scale, and this is what that to me was like. It's like such a sad thing to look at. Like,
it is.
God damn, we got 20% inflation, and I got a 1% raise,
Mhm.
and I got a $300 raise,
and they should be getting paid more than some business owners, more than corporate salespeople. Like they are teaching and teach. A lot of people think teaching is 9 to 5. My wife is an educator. Like teaching is not nowhere near close. Sometimes she puts in more hours than me, and I'm like, man, that's a lot, especially with kids.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's crazy. So let's talk some numbers before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
What's your team projected this year to sell?
Yeah.
What's Keith James projected to sell?
Yeah.
And what's next year look like for your goals?
Yeah, man. So we're on track to do about 295 units this year. I'm on track to do about $110 of those units. Next year, we want to have around 30 agents on our team. We want to sell about 350 homes next year. And we want to launch in 2 other markets as well.
Besides Philly and Richmond.
I honestly want to sell less real estate, to be quite frank with you. So if I can find like 5 killers, man, to come on a team that can kind of, take business away from me, because I want to be able to go to these market centers like Philly and Richmond and get them up and running so we can be successful in those markets as well, because there's a lot of opportunity, just outside of the DMV in real estate, and kind of putting our brand in different areas. It's kind of cool thing to do, and that's kind of like my passion. And my passion has become more of, helping our agents build wealth as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah, you got to bring the people up with you. That's the big thing. You got to give them a chance to do what you're doing, because, again, it's demotivating for somebody to not to think that they can only do X amount.
Right. Like you said, it's no ceiling, right? And I also feel like if we're not giving back, and that's another pillar of our business is, giving back. If we're not giving back and bringing people up with us and teaching them the way, then honestly, like why do it? I want to find, people that I can go back. So on my nonprofit, we take kids to Africa. We take kids out of these hoods. Next year we're going to Brazil, and that's my nonprofit work. We take about 10 and 12 kids a year, and just really showing them the environment outside of their neighborhoods is important. For me, that's bigger than any sale that I can make or any deal I can close right there. And I think the more I can do of that, and also too with that, like I'm teaching them real estate, I'm teaching them tools, I'm teaching them how to build wealth, I'm giving them books to read and things of that nature. And that's super important to me. And what I find a lot of times is sometimes you can get burnt out in this business, man. And you got to really have a big why of why you're doing what you're doing. But if you stay locked in on, that thing over and over and over and over again, sometimes you can get burnt out. So you need other avenues. And I call it like other therapy sessions you can go to just kind of clear your mind and be successful in.
Yeah, having hobbies and all that kind of stuff. It's important. And
it's important.
And that, like, going back to the teaching thing and like nonprofit and stuff like that.
You really didn't like teaching, man.
No. I'm actually about to talk. I'm about to change my tune a little bit. So the one thing that I loved about teaching is that kid that comes back 5 years later, and you see the development, and they talk to you about what you did to change their life. Like I had kids that I was teaching in 9th grade. This was like 10 years ago, that are now in their 20s and coming up, and they got job. They were like dickhead in high school, and then now they got real jobs. They're driving around a nice car, they're doing all these things, and part of that was like my touch on them to like we did this together, like and that's cool. Like doing that stuff is so meaningful, and it feels so good that's what keeps you because the money is great,
for sure,
but after a certain amount, like dude, what are you doing? That's what I feel like. And you see all these people like the billionaires' wives doing like charity, starting charities and stuff like that. Like that is the ultimate goal.
Big time.
When the money is not the thing that you're thinking about, it's like, what can I do with that money to like change people's lives? And that's super cool.
That's super important. I mean, on that same book that every real estate agent probably read, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talks about it a lot. But I think too, a a lot of times when we're not doing that piece right there, how are we getting our cups filled? You know, because we're emptying our cups out a lot. You know, we're dealing with in properties that need a roof replacement. We're getting a call from the tenants. You know, we're dealing with clients and things of that nature, and we're taking on a bunch of energies that we don't even realize a lot of time. You know, and so we're pouring out of our cup a lot. But you got to do things to fill your cup up, and if you're not doing that, man, you're gonna get burnt out so quick in this business. And you got to make sure you're continuing to invest in yourself and get your cup filled as well.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, Keith James.
Oh,
thanks again, man. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Can't wait to party tonight.
Hey, let's do it,
man. It's
gonna
be a good time. Anybody listening from Maryland, we are hosting an event, the Everyday Millionaire Meetup, on October 26th, 6 to 9 at the Point in Towson. Should be 150 people there. It's going to be a good time. It's always fun. We always give away some money, some things. And
good stuff, man.
And yeah, have a good time.
Yeah, man. I want to plug November 28th, we're doing a mastermind called the Link Mastermind in Washington, D.C., where we're bringing in about 30 agents to mastermind. We're going to open up the books and show you how to build wealth, talk about tax strategies and things of that nature. Go to thelinkmastermind.com, or you can go to my Instagram page at Keith James Realtor, and also our team Instagram page, Coalition Properties, to get more details on the Link Mastermind. But it's going to be super cool. We're going to have agents that are, 8 million and above talking about wealth building, and we're going to have people come in and teach classes and things of that nature. But this is the first inaugural The Link Mastermind that we're going to put on. So super excited about that.
Put it on your calendars.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks so much, man.
Yep.